Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Welcome to V-Talks. I'm your host, Veronica Brockwell, and I'm very excited about tonight's show. I have a fabulous guest, an amazing woman. Her name is Christy Cashman, and she is an American author, actress, producer, and has appeared in more than 20 films. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about her new novel, The Truth About Horses. She also has a writing mentorship program for teens called Youth Inc. And she's gonna talk about that, and also her global writing competition for teens, in which they win a trip to Christie's Castle in Ireland. So we're gonna talk about that too. So I am so excited, and I can't wait for you to meet this amazing person. So I'm going to bring Christy onto the screen here. Hi, Christy.
Hello. Wow. Well, thanks for that intro.
Well, it's true. We have a lot to talk about, and we only have an hour.
Apparently I'm busy.
You're very busy. You're very busy. First of all, thank you for doing the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I know, we've known each other for a little bit of time, and I just really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
So,
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
All right. So let's get started.
No, thank you.
Oh, thank you. So let's get started. So I want to hear a little bit about yourself. I understand that you are a Southern girl like myself. Yes.
Where did you grow up?
Virginia. I was born in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're from North Carolina, right?
Yeah, I was born in Ohio, grew up in North Carolina.
Yeah. And I see here in your bio, you are the youngest of 10 children.
The ninth of 10. So I have one younger brother. Yeah. My parents had 5 girls and 5 boys.
Wow. Yeah. And you're also an equestrian.
I am. Yes.
And you've been riding your whole life?
My whole life. My parents had backyard horses when we were growing up. No, not a saddle in sight. Like bridles that sort of with bits that kind of hung out of their mouths, but we would get on them bareback, usually double, because all the kids wanted to ride. And we had 4, 2 ponies and 2 horses, and we'd go out and go on these, long rides. My older sister Martha was the one who was mainly into the horses, but we all liked to ride, and I just couldn't get enough of it. So that's where I was ruined, with going out with my brothers and sisters on my pony Shirley. Well, she wasn't really my pony. She was, we had to share them, but she was one of those sweet little paint ponies who everyone could ride, and she didn't buck you off like Taffy, the little Shetland pony, or run down to the river and put her head down and let you fall into the river. She was just sweet.
Well, I've seen you on social media on many a fox hunt.
Oh.
Yeah, so
it's a little controversial, so.
Oh, well. All I can say is you have to be a pretty accomplished writer to do that.
Or just brave, maybe.
You're very,
just
very
be able to hang on.
So this is actually a good segue, because I want to talk to you.
Brave and stupid.
No, you're still with us. You're still with us, and you wear a helmet. It's about confidence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Partly.
Partly confidence. Yeah. So anyway, let's kind of jump in and talk about your book and writing. So your first novel is The Truth About Horses.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell us a little bit about what that book is about.
Sure. Thanks for asking.
Sure.
So Reese is the main character, and she is 14. We meet her after her mother has been dead for 2 years, and basically after her mom died, her father sold their horse farm. They had a horse business, and it was where she grew up. It was everything she knew. And after the mom died, and they were both, what happened is Reese and her dad kind of end up sort of going down different paths of grieving. He doesn't want to look at another horse, and all she wants to do is be around horses and get the barn back that's on the market now. And basically she finds her way back in. There's another guy running it. She's surrounded by horses again, but has to sort of learn a whole different way of dealing with the fact that she has forgotten how to jump. And she sort of has these panic attacks, and it sort of goes back to the anxiety of her mother passing away. And so she has to ultimately learn to trust again, but that learning to trust comes from figuring out a way that she and her dad can emotionally connect again. So without giving away too much, that's kind of it. And it's set in South Dakota.
Now, do you feel like you relate with the character Reese at all?
Emotionally. I mean, I love the saying somebody said to me one time was, when you write fiction, you don't write about yourself as much as you write out of yourself. And I think that that's very true about fiction. And also writing it slant, not totally head on and like, this is exactly what happened to me. But it's, are there characters that I could say exist in my book that I knew in real life? Parts of, but more of like an amalgamation, more of a big mix. So I think fiction is basically telling a story, and writing, like I said, writing out of yourself, using your emotions as those things that ground it, I guess.
And
in
Christy,
reality.
And Christy, how long have you been writing?
Well, I mean, I've been writing all my life. I've kept journals since I was 7, but I wrote a couple of screenplays that didn't do much other than the movie with Parker Posey that did get made.
And we're gonna talk about that later.
Oh, okay, all right. Uh-oh.
We've got so much fun stuff.
Yikes! Okay.
Oh, yikes is right. Because we really didn't go over much, really, beforehand. So, yes, we're gonna talk about.
Well,
I said we didn't really go over much beforehand, so there might be a lot of surprise questions.
No, we didn't. No. I thought the interview was over.
I know we were just catching up.
We were just catching up.
All right, go ahead. We were talking about writing and how long you've been writing.
Yeah. So, and I, wrote a couple of screenplays. I actually have written a ton of short stories, and mainly a lot of stuff that I just write and then I didn't do anything with. This is the novel is something that I started to write. I started to write as a screenplay, actually, and then realized that the voice that was coming to me more in a long form, novel format.
And then, so what authors and books have inspired you?
Let's see. Well, I think those books that, I couldn't put down. I mean, a Prayer for Owen Meany, by John Irving. Um, I really liked Angela's Ashes. Um, uh, there, let's see, there's a book called The Cold Sassy Tree, which I absolutely adore. I thought that was a phenomenal book. And that definitely has influenced me. Actually, Dave Eggers' book, his memoir, the with the horrible title of A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. Such a hard title to remember. But that book definitely influenced me. And all the Narnia tales, C.S. Lewis. I read every single, Margaret Henry book. I think that I was surprisingly influenced by The Red Pony by John Steinbeck. I was, in a way, influenced by that more than the kind of sweet and syrupy horse novels, because I thought it was going to be a sweet and syrupy horse novel, and it was actually just a gritty, interesting, different kind of writing that I'd ever read. And I read it when I was about 13, and
Right.
and it really affected me.
Yeah.
Much more gritty than the horse books that I had been reading and The Red Pony.
So, Christy, you've also written a series of children's books.
I have. I have
You have those
them to
with you?
have them right here. Oh my gosh, so funny you should ask me.
We're good.
Here's the first one. Not
Yep.
so monkey.
So, yes,
And
like
here's
how
the
cute.
second one.
I know we're breaking up a little bit. It must be that Strong Island thing going on out there. Now
Dang.
can you hear me? You can still hear me, right, Christy?
I can hear you. Yeah. Am I
okay,
out?
good.
Can you not see me?
Wait, you've been clicking in and out a little bit. So yeah, we're good.
Oh,
So
sorry.
the not so average monkey of, now I want to pronounce it as Kilkia Castle?
It's Kilkee.
Kilkee?
It's Kilkee, but so here's the weird thing is when you go there, the people who are in the know call it Kilkee, but everyone else calls it Kilkee. So we say Kilkee.
Okay, so Kilkee.
But it could be Kilkee or Kilkee.
Okay, I'm gonna call it Kilkee.
That's
okay.
fine.
So
That's what I call it.
and this is your castle, which we are going to talk about that later as well.
Okay.
But when did you start this series of children's books?
Well, I had met a friend who came over on a retreat to Kilkee, and it was a writer's retreat, actually. She was on the board, and they own a hotel, and she said, we have this an elephant as our sort of logo, our mascot in a way for our hotel, and we have it on everything. It's on the stationery. We sell clothing with it, and we sell a children's book and a little stuffed elephant in the gift store. She said, Christy, you're a writer, you should write something about the monkey, because there's a monkey that has a history at Kilkee. And and so she really inspired me, and then I thought it also would be a great exercise as a writer to try to write some children's books, because it's a lot harder than it seems to be able to take a story, distill it down to what the real meaning is, have it be entertaining, interesting, and maybe learn something too. So and they have been challenging, but fun challenges. I've enjoyed them.
Well, you actually just wrote a blog on your website about the similarities actually between writing a novel and a children's book. Can you tell me what those are?
Well, in some ways, it's maybe it's a bit harder because
Mm-hmm.
you do have to be careful. I mean, not, every word in a children's book um, has to help tell the story. And, I mean, my target age was about, from 4 to 7 or so.
Sure.
And, and their attention span, you just want to make sure that you're not going to lose them with anything. And get the point across. So it's basically you're establishing a world, characters who live in that world, and then something has to happen, and then hopefully hopefully your character grows or learns something in the end. And that's so those are the similarities. But doing it in 20 pages, I wasn't the illustrator, but having to then kind of collaborate with an illustrator is an interesting challenge. And I'd say everyone should try it. If you're writing at all, everyone should try it.
And on that note, you want everyone to get into writing, especially our children.
Mm-hmm.
And you are working with some incredible people for this organization, this nonprofit called Youth Inc. Can you talk
Yes.
about that?
Sure. Yes. Well, basically, when the writing group that I was over in Ireland with a couple of years ago did a writing workshop, during the 3 days, 3 or 4 days that they were there, and they wove a workshop sort of through the retreat. And I just couldn't stop thinking about the fact that this has to happen. This has to be a regular thing. It has to be something that continues. And in the interim, then, I had come across a friend of mine who actually is my neighbor over here, just across the bay. And his name's Arthur Vanderbilt. He's on the Youth Inc. board.
Mm-hmm.
And he had read an early draft of The Truth About Horses. And he basically just sort of became an immediate mentor to me. And I'd realized that I hadn't had a lot of mentors in my life, not in that aspect. Somebody who really just said, you have to go with this. You have to, you found your calling. You really are good at this. Just, those encouraging words that you need to sometimes get out of bed and continue whatever it is you've decided to do. And so he sort of inspired me in a way, because I felt like I should be a mentor to someone in that way. And I think that's how You Think was born, in a way, that realizing that I didn't have mentors in my writing until, much later in my life. And wouldn't it be nice if, that you had that when you're 13 or 14 or whatever, because I think it makes a difference. I think it makes a
Yeah.
big difference.
Of course, and I've seen you also on social media reading at local schools.
Yeah, that was so fun. Oh my gosh, loved that.
Yeah, so I just think it's fabulous. All of the things that you do for kids and trying to educate them and get them interested in writing. And one of the things you're doing is you are sponsoring a global short story competition.
Yeah.
And I want to hear about that, and I want to hear about what the winner gets.
Okay, so basically, it is part of you.
I guess I can't enter.
You get. Didn't you just turn 18 this year? You look like it.
Yeah, you too. Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So anyway, we're taking submissions for short stories, sort of wanting them to be in the around nature, animals in nature, for 13 to 18-year-olds. And the panelists on our on the You Think website will be the judges. And the judges will decide who the winner is, and the winner will end up going on an all expense paid trip to Ireland for a writing workshop weekend. So it's actually 3 days of a writing workshop with some of the panelists there, doing the workshops with us.
What an incredible opportunity.
Thank you. And Narrative 4 is Colin McCann's company, his organization, and Narrative 4 does the work. They create the workshops, and they they travel around doing these writing workshops for kids, and a lot of kids who might not ordinarily ever be able to be exposed to something like this. And they're going to do one of our workshops for us. The empathy, I think it's called the empathy workshop. And it's so interesting because what it would be is like we might go into the workshop and you would tell me your story, and then I would have to tell that story as if it were mine. And I just love that. So that's the one that we're incorporating into our program.
So how do we enter?
So it's submissions on the site, on the You Think, at ChristyCashman.com,
which is on the ticker right here.
Click on the menu under mentorship program, and You Think will come up, and all of the guidelines for it are right there.
And it looks like I have here the submission deadline is December 31st. So plenty of time to enter. I'm going to make sure I continue to share this link the rest of the week.
Thank you.
So because it's such an incredible opportunity. And I think we should kind of segue into, since we're going to Ireland.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your castle.
Okay.
All right. So Christy has a castle. It's a real castle. We are not making this up.
Where's your castle?
No, I have no castle. Maybe a sand castle at the beach. So this is so cool. So, and it's gorgeous. And I feel so sad that I can't put the link up. But what I can do, if you're watching, I'm going to put the ticker there. So it's Kilkee Castle. It's not .com though, is it? I just did that wrong. It is what is it? .ie or something? I think I messed that up.
Is it .ie?
I think it's .ie. I'm going to fix this. I just put, hold on, IE. Right here. Does that look right? Kilkee Castle.
It does, yeah.
IE. So as we're talking about it, you can go to the website, and I would imagine you've got some promotional videos on there as well, right?
If you go to the website, what's that? Sorry.
Are there promotional videos on there so people can see?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
So tell us about how did you acquire a castle?
Well, so when I first met Jay, I was actually headed over to Ireland for a riding trip.
And that's your husband.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
My husband. Yeah.
Some guy named Jay.
Some guy named Jay, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's Jay Cashman.
Ireland for a riding trip. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Oh, I'm half Irish." I was like, "Oh, cool." And ultimately he kind of invited himself along. He said, "Well, I've been everywhere else in the world, but I've never been to Ireland." And so we had just kind of started dating. And I thought it was hysterical that at the time I was kind of like, what? That's kind of, ballsy. But he invited himself along with my riding group. And I would go out riding every day, and he would tour around, and he said, "I'm looking for a castle." This is before we were married. So this is, long time ago.
Really?
Yeah. And he'd say, I'm looking for a castle. And everybody laughed at him.
Right.
So
And did you believe him?
I believed he was looking. I didn't necessarily think he was, seriously going to buy something. I don't know. I didn't think much of it. I was there to ride, and I thought, oh, good, he's being entertained, and
So he was castle shopping.
he was castle shopping.
Okay.
And then we would go over there every year for a while after we got married. We ended up getting married over there at the Adair Manor. So I
Okay.
introduced Jay to Ireland, and he fell in love with it. And he literally just fell in love with the people, with the, the Guinness, with all of the,
Right.
just the feeling of being over there, I think, is pretty special. And I think it's like one of those places you either have a connection with it or you don't. And both of us did. Both of us sort of felt like when we went there, when I went there the first time, I felt like I'd been there before, and I had never been there before. So, and so we both had a connection. So we ended up getting married and then having kids. And so we were still going over there, maybe not as much. And then about 10 years ago, we started to get serious again about buying something. And we would go over there and, just drive around and hear about different places for sale. And then Kilkee came up. We drove down. And he was like, I think this is it. And it had been abandoned. I mean, nobody had been in there in the building for, I don't know, 3 years or something longer, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it had been closed down a total of 7 years before we ended up reopening it. Now we owned it. Yeah, that's right. It had been abandoned for 2 years. Basically, they just up and left, and it had been run as a hotel.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So it was already set up that way.
It was, yeah. But, it just wasn't able to, I think they just weren't able to hang on to it.
Sure.
And then we renovated for 5 years before we had a grand opening. And then we sort of opened it up, what they would say, a soft opening. We opened up the rooms that were ready to be, used at the hotel. We opened a couple of the restaurants, and now it's kind of gangbusters. Everything's open. We're a very popular venue for weddings.
It's a golf resort, right?
It's a
Did
golf
I see
resort,
that? But it wasn't that before.
It
Or
was.
it?
They
It
had
was.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
And how many rooms are there?
So there are 11 in the original castle building. There are 40 in the carriage house, around about 40 there, and then there are another 100 and some at the golf course. They're called the condos, more of a condo style. They're family living with kitchenettes. I actually like staying in those because they're just a little bit more. The way they're laid out is they're very comfortable and easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And what are some of the activities there? Because I've seen horseback riding.
Like you
I've
said,
seen
yeah.
falconry. Did I see falconry?
Falconry,
Okay, let's hear about this.
Yeah, there's falconry, there's fishing, golf, like you mentioned, horseback riding, of course, shooting, archery. Some of these are on the ground, some of these are 15 minutes away. There's, I love all of the different outdoor activities there are.
Right. And how were you? So did you have to shut down during the pandemic?
Oh yeah, it was totally shut down over there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how long was that?
Well, they did kind of similar to what happened here. Everything was closed down, and then they would open up a little, and then they'd have to close down again, and then they'd open up a little, and then so they just opened up to very recently to travel from other countries.
Okay.
So that, but before that, then people from all over different parts of Ireland were just going and visiting and having their vacations away from whatever town they came from, and staying at the castle for a weekend or whatever. And then weddings started opening up, and so we have had a couple of really busy weeks these past 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
which
fantastic.
is great.
And what major airport or are you near, or major city?
Dublin. We're an hour from Dublin.
Okay.
An hour, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So it's a wonderful location. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Anyone out there gets a chance, please go to the website and look. An amazing vacation. I'm going to get out there.
Please, you have to come see us.
I will. I was actually looking at doing that before the pandemic. So it's definitely on my list.
We're going in July, and then probably again in October.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I would
come
love
while
to go.
we're there.
I would love that. Yeah. I get a good tour, right?
Absolutely.
I know. So we're going to move on now, and we are going to talk about some other things that are very exciting. So you are a writer, but you are also an actress and a producer, and you've been in over 20 films. And I also know, I think when I met you, you were just having the premiere for The Love Guide.
Oh, yeah.
You wrote that, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, and produced it
Mm-hmm.
through your production company, Saint Air Productions.
Correct, yep.
And Parker Posey was in that. What are some other movies that she was in? Do you recall? I didn't actually look at. She was in a lot.
She was in a lot of Christopher Guest movies.
Mm-hmm. She was funny.
Yeah, she's very funny.
Yeah. So that's how we met. But talk to me a little bit about your production company and some of the movies that you've been involved in.
Yeah. So before I got more serious about writing, I think that was my outlet for storytelling, was producing and getting involved with films and documentaries or television shows that I really felt I had a connection to, or maybe it was just something, also something that, like with the Kids Are All Right, I was one of the producers, and that was just something I was sort of in the right place at the right time, and
who did you work with? Who did you work with in that movie?
In that movie,
The Kids Are All Right.
Yeah.
Is Annette Bening?
Annette Bening is in that. Yes, Annette Bening.
Julianne Moore.
I didn't know if you meant the producers or the actors.
Yeah.
That was, I didn't actually, what happened was right when that was being filmed was when I started to work on The Love Guide. And so I never went to the set of that film or anything. Right. And, but then I received the invitation to go to the Golden Globes, which I also wasn't able to go to, but it was a fun invitation to get for a film.
Absolutely. So what other films have you worked on?
As an actress or producer?
Both.
Okay, so I was in American Hustle and Joy.
Uh-huh.
For David, those are both David O. Russell films, and I really enjoyed those. I thought that, my parts were, super small. They started out a little bit bigger. One with American Hustle, my part was supposed to be, I think like a 3 or 4 day job. It ended up being a 2-day job because remember the snowstorm where we got like 8 feet of snow or something ridiculous.
It was every single weekend.
Yeah,
we got snow.
That was in the middle of when they were shooting, and because of the snow and the complications with the snow and some damage that was done at the studio where we were shooting,
Yeah.
my part had to get kind of, chopped up. So I wasn't able to have as big of a part as I originally was supposed to, which
Right.
kind of stinks, but I still had some fun lines with Amy Adams, and then the second one was with um who's in Joy? What's her name again? I'm blanking on her name.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, thank you.
Yeah. We love her.
But yeah, she's great.
Yes.
Um,
She's the one that tripped going up to get her Oscar. Do you
what's
remember
that?
She's the one that tripped going up to get her
That's
Oscar.
right. Yeah.
Poor thing, but she
Yeah,
handled
yeah,
it like a
yeah.
champ.
She
That's
was
what you
super
have to
cute
do. You're
about
like,
it, yeah.
yep, yep, I tripped.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, it
Yeah.
happens. She's cute. So you had you were in TED too?
Yes. As a
Okay.
reporter.
Okay, and then this was funny because I remember when I saw the movie The Women,
Hmm.
and I was at a boardroom scene
Yes,
or
the boardroom
something,
scene. Yeah.
and I go, "Is that Christy Cashman?" I remember seeing you in that scene, not
That's
knowing you
funny.
were in the movie.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
you had a speaking, that was a speaking role,
Hmm.
right? Did you?
Yeah.
You had some lines in that.
Some lines. Yeah.
I know. But you were awesome in The Love Guide. I love that movie.
Oh, thanks.
That
Thank
was that was great.
you. It was fun.
Yeah, people love this stuff. And then Kettle of Fish. I see
Hmm.
this one.
With Matthew
What?
Modine.
Yeah. Yeah. So were you in that or were you producing that?
Both.
Both.
I was in that. My character was Diana,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, yeah, I was basically the third lead in that one, which was one of my bigger parts, if not the biggest part. If I wasn't in like a short film or something like that.
Sure. And then also you did some work with, you've done a lot of work locally in Boston. I know
Hmm.
that. So you had a show in Boston, right?
A couple different shows about books, basically.
Mm-hmm.
One was the Open Book Club on NECN, where we interviewed authors,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was Backstory, which was Boston.com, and another one that was about also interviewing. That was interviewing authors whose books had been turned into film. Backstory.
And then you've done some work with Mark Wahlburg.
Yeah, he produced a show called Breaking Boston, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a part in that, but I think the show never got picked up. I
Okay.
think it lives maybe online somewhere, but was it A&E? I think maybe,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, that it didn't really go anywhere.
And of course, during the pandemic, everything just got shut down,
Yeah,
for a while. So, it really hurt the industry. Um,
right.
so you
But it was a good
probably,
time to focus on writing for me.
exactly, right? That's what
Yeah,
you did because that's really your passion,
it is actually.
right? You
Yeah.
know? So I see this here on your website. Can you tell me what the ride is?
Oh, the ride is
Yeah.
that's a promo piece for uh, a reality show that would be based in Ireland,
Okay.
where uh, maybe a group of people all come over there to meet and do horseback, some horseback riding adventure every day. And so you've got people from all walks of life who don't know each other until they meet there, and then just like those reality shows go, all hell breaks loose. Maybe you have some romance. Maybe there's, but that's sort of the the idea
So this
behind it.
hasn't happened yet.
No, it's just the promo for it, like a
So,
teaser type thing.
but
No,
you
I
haven't
haven't.
picked people.
I haven't been able to get over there to start, working on that.
Oh, wow. That sounds funny.
Yeah, I
That
think
sounds
it could
good.
be. I think it
Yeah.
could be.
Oh, yeah. We're both horse girls.
Yeah.
So, a lot goes on in the barn.
I know, right?
You gotta be careful
Talk
what buy.
Housewives has nothing against up to horsewives.
No. No, no, no. Yeah, so I just saw that and I thought that looks like super interesting.
That
So
would be a fun one to eventually, get off the ground, start
that,
developing. It hasn't been developed. It's just like a teaser idea put out there,
yeah,
see what the response is.
I love it because you're gonna be like you said, you're gonna be spending more time in Ireland again
Yeah, exactly.
soon. So what other, do you have any other projects right now that you're thinking about working on with television or movies, or is that kind of on the back burner for now?
Those are more or less on the back burner. I do like one of Arthur Vanderbilt's books called The Best Kept Boy,
Mm-hmm.
which I could see potentially uh, trying to develop that with get a couple of producer
Mm-hmm.
partners possibly. I think that has a lot of potential. So um, that might be my next
Right?
project.
And we're gonna
Yeah,
and you're gonna talk about it here on the V Talks.
that's right.
That's
It'll be
right.
my first stop.
Exactly. Um, so I want to also talk to you about some of the charity work that you've done. A couple of years ago, I noticed that you started charity warriors,
Hmm.
and I was so impressed with that concept.
Oh, thank
And I would love for you to tell our audience what you accomplished with that and well, what it was all about.
Well, that actually, believe it or not, that started as potential as a develop. I started developing it as a TV show, sort of.
I thought that, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Five women, five charities,
Mm-hmm.
and see sort of how the underbelly of the charity world works, which isn't so pretty sometimes.
It's not.
And
Yeah.
and the concept is great, but it's really when you develop those shows, it's so much about who those characters are, and the
Mm-hmm.
characters have to have that appeal to whoever you're pitching it to. Um, that is where it's at. And so I think ultimately some other show um, got picked up, which it was kind of similar. We were pitching it to OWN. We'd had a couple of meetings with OWN, and then I just kind of decided that as a fundraising platform, it was still an interesting thing to pursue,
Uh-huh.
and for women to um, compete for a good cause, and to raise awareness maybe for these sort of more grassroots charities that aren't able to get a lot of attention and can't raise a lot of money for that reason. If if there's one bigger charity in with a few smaller ones, then essentially on a platform you get the eyeballs of all of those charities combined, and so um, that was an interesting and fun project to be part of. I think the women who were part of it were really happy with how much money they were able to raise and awareness. So um, it just
Do you
never.
recall your total on that?
Oh, it's
It was a lot.
um, a million
Yeah.
something, maybe a million five. I
It
think
was incredible. I really was
that was
impressed with
one.
it.
I think, yeah, maybe 1 year. Yeah,
Right. And I just loved, I saw a lot of publicity on that, but I just loved the fact that, you had all of them competing with each other to raise
yeah,
money, which really, drove up how much money came in. And it
yeah.
seemed like a good group of people.
We had great women all the time, and it was one of those things that you got out of it whatever you put into it. You know, um, if some of them wanted to sign on just to be part of the publicity, well, they got got that, but the other, you know, but they didn't get what the women who really put a lot of effort in and, you know, learned a lot from the women before them. So, yeah, I mean, we might resurrect that one at some point.
I think it's a great idea, and I like the concept of the reality show with the charity warriors, because I would imagine
Yeah,
that could be somewhat entertaining as well, especially when you throw a competition
for
in
sure.
there. You know,
Yeah,
so you're
for
raising a
sure.
lot of money, but it would be entertaining to watch.
Hmm.
Yes. I love it.
Definitely.
Well, so that's exciting. So what other things do you want to talk about? What other projects with anything?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think we covered it. I mean, the truth about horses, that's the
I know. I tried to like
novel, and
really. We had
I
a
think
lot. I was like trying to,
you did,
go right through in order. So
you did more than I
sometimes,
thought we were
so
gonna.
sometimes these shows can last 2 hours, and I'm trying not to do that anymore. I'm trying to be like
Yeah.
right in an hour. So tell our viewers. So where are you right now?
I'm in Chatham and on Strong Island.
And you have horses there.
We have horses. We brought them over on a barge about two or 3 days ago.
I saw that. That was
Yeah.
amazing. They
It's
put the
always
horses
interesting.
on a barge, people. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. And it's
It's always
on.
interesting to pass
Yeah.
a sailboat in Pleasant Bay as we have our horses, like, you know, on this barge looking over the big the wall, the plywood wall that we have built.
Well, that's just it. So it's a plywood wall, and it's not
Yeah.
even a big barge, is that?
No, it's not a big barge.
Yeah, and it's plywood. I see that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they just put the little walls up, and the horses are just fine.
They are actually,
Yeah.
if you Google old pictures of crossing rivers or bodies of water on barge with horses, they don't even bother with putting a wall. They just, you can see the horses just stand there on the barge. I'm not quite ready for that. I feel like they need something of an enclosure that they kind of,
Yeah.
you know, otherwise I don't want them wandering all over the place on the barge, you know.
And so they just know that that's where they go in the
They've done
summer.
it enough times where they know what they're doing, and it's almost like they go on themselves if, you know, if it weren't for, if you didn't have, you wouldn't, they'd load themselves, you know.
Or swim over.
They seem to like it. They actually seem to like it, you know.
Yeah. And where do they live in the winter time?
They're in
Also.
Hamilton at Devon Glen Farm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
And
beautiful up there.
you're still in Boston, right?
Yeah, we live right in the Back Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. How is Boston now? Is
Oh my gosh, Boston is so much more exciting with all of the restaurants that have their, like on Newbury Street and everywhere you go now. Cambridge, if you go over to Cambridge, Central Square, all the restaurants have pushed out onto the sidewalks and into the street, and everything is so much more exciting and vibrant and cheerful. It is, I hope they keep all of that because it gives the city so much more character, makes it so much more interesting and fun. The vibe is just, you know, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're not in Boston. Not that Boston's a bad place, but just that it adds so much more to the city. It really does.
I agree. I mean, even where I am here, they allowed all of the restaurants to open up onto the streets, put
Yeah.
tents, tables, everything, and it saved them.
It's so,
Yeah.
so fun. It's so nice. It's just, I don't know, it has this European feel, but it's more,
Hmm.
neighborhoody. More,
Yeah,
it's totally makes the city come alive.
right. Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I hope it continues. I love sitting outside, being outside. The restaurants, now that they're at full capacity, have more capacity and hopefully can make up for the lost money during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think, we're going to come back stronger, I do. we went through a rough time, but I don't know. And you're experiencing
Seems like
that
everyone's ready to.
You're experiencing that with your castle too,
castle,
right?
yeah,
Like you said,
very
you
much
know, you've
so.
had some great
So
weeks. You
busy.
just opened back up, right?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they opened back up to the Irish a few weeks ago or
Yeah.
longer, and then now it's to everyone. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Christy, let's go back here. So ChristyCashman.com. If you go to her website, you are going to find her books. When can we purchase your novel, The Truth About Horses?
that will be probably in early 2022.
Okay, but you can read a little bit about that there. But what you can get right now is you can go on her website to Not So Average Monkey of Kilkee Castle, and you can purchase that, right? Because it says
Yep.
Buy Now.
That's right. They're both the children's books, the Not So Average Monkey and then Petrie's Next Things are both available on Amazon, as well as they're supposed to be in Walmart and Target.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And if anyone's interested in reading the first 2 chapters of The Truth About Horses, you can also download that from my website.
And then another very important link on there is You Think.
You Think, yes. We're looking for submissions. So anyone who knows any writers who are 13 to 18 and want to win a trip to Ireland or be part of the You Think program, just check us out.
And this is a global writing competition.
Correct.
I think this is a fantastic idea for sure. And I hope people take advantage of it, because
Me too.
this is the mentors that you have involved in this can really springboard and be a platform to help these kids get more skills, and I think it's fantastic. And then also we have the link here if you are interested in going to Ireland, because who wouldn't be interested in that, and staying in a castle. Please go to her website, and can people get reservations right now? Is it that booked? It's wedding season?
No, there are still openings. There are definitely still openings. Yeah.
All right, good. So go there.
Yeah, come over and see us. Come over and see us.
I'm going to be there. All right.
I hope so.
So anything you want to add, my dear?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on, Veronica. I really appreciate it, and it's nice to see you and finally get to catch up.
I know, and you look fantastic. You really
Thank
do.
you.
You're an amazing person. Keep being amazing.
Oh.
And
Thank you.
we'll stay in touch, and I'll
I
be
hope so.
waiting for your next movie or book. And we'll have you back on the V Talks, okay?
Awesome. I'd love
All
that.
right. You take care of yourself. Thank
Have a
you
great
so
night.
much. All right. You too, honey.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Well, we kept it under an hour tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We have our biohack and cellular specialist, Dr. Michael Wild. So I hope you can join us next week. Thank you so much, and have a great night. Bye.